Now, for somebody who isn't a student of self-defense, you might wonder, why is Charl here to discuss the matter? Well, he lived through and experienced one major situation in his life that is known in South Africa as the St. James Massacre. I would liken it to help us here in America to understand, I would liken it to something similar to the Oklahoma City bombing. That's how major an event this was. It was a terrorist attack, and Charl did something unusual, especially because this took place in a church, St. James Church in Cape Town, and he shot back. Now, this is where the rubber meets the road, Charl. This isn't an ideology. This is not a book about what I think about fire. This is when you actually have to act, when you're faced with really zero lead time of knowing what you're going to do. You're faced with an actual event and you have to respond, or you have to later on look back at yourself and say, I did nothing. And the fact is, you shot back. We're going to take a full segment in just a moment to have you tell the entire story of the St. James Massacre. But I also want to introduce people to you a little bit here by helping them to understand the mentality. You had an event take place in your life prior to this that almost prepared you to start on the course of changing your mindset. First of all, you were in the military for 2 years. Walk us through from military through the incident that took place in your car to how really you got mentally prepared for what was going to take place that you had no idea.
Oh, Bruce, that's a very good question. The first thing was that I was forced to go to the military in South Africa. At the time, when I was a young man, the military was no option for us. We had to do it for white males in South Africa. And so I was taken through the military, did my 2 years defense, and from a theological perspective, it made sense to me that we were fighting a war, we were fighting against communists that murdered 100 million people since 1917. They were coming for our country, and so therefore we'd go out and protect the innocent and protect the population from the onslaught. After that, I struggled with the idea of actually carrying a firearm in civilian life, and that was something that I really couldn't quite get over. It was something that I was struggling with, thinking through this process. And it was only when I'd read an article by Larry Pratt, the Executive Director of Gun Owners of America, where he laid down the biblical foundation for self-defense, that it really took me over into understanding that there is a place for a godly man to protect the innocent, his family and wife and other innocent people. So that was a big change for me in my understanding. And then just to quicken the whole process, one day I was driving my car near Wellington in South Africa when I was attacked by people with stones and bricks and rocks they were throwing at my vehicle. And that really put on a whole new perspective. And after that, praise the Lord that I wasn't killed in the incident, but it really made a difference in me actually going out and purchasing a weapon, getting the license that was needed to buy a firearm. And at that time, it took about 2 weeks to go through the process and to get the license. So those were the things that made a big difference in my life, that got me to the stage of actually carrying a firearm in civilian life.